Okay, before we begin today's meeting, I'd like to invite anyone who'd care to join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm going to ask our colleague, Regent Wilmot, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, I don't think I've said that since I was.
Thank you, Regent Wilmot. So I'd like to call to order the April 7, 2023 meeting of the Board of Regents to order. Please call the roll.
Regent Drake.
Here.
Regent Kent.
Here. Here.
Regent Sadi.
Here.
Regent Sims.
Here.
Regent Clare.
Here.
Regent Kenny.
Here.
Regent O'Connor.
Here.
Regent Schaefer.
Here.
Regent Shear.
Present.
Regent Stark.
Here.
Regent Weitz.
Here.
Regent Wilmot.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. For all in attendance, please note that in compliance with Nebraska Open Meetings Act, the board has posted a copy of the act near the main entrance to today's meeting space. Included in your materials is a copy of the minutes from our meeting on February 10, 2023. I'd entertain a motion for approval.
I'd make that motion. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Are there any comments, corrections, amendments to the minutes? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Regent Kent.
Yes.
Regent Sadi.
Yes.
Regent Sims.
Yes.
Regent Drake.
Yes.
Regent Kenny.
Yes.
Regent O'Connor.
Yes.
Regent Schaefer.
Yes.
Regent Shear.
Yes.
Regent Stark.
Yes.
Regent Weitz.
Yes.
Regent Wilmot.
Yes.
Regent Clare.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Regent O'Connor.
Yes.
I believe you were going to add something about the audit.
Yes, absolutely. Regent Clare, as immediate past chair of the Audit, Risk, and Compliance Committee, I would ask that the minutes for today's meeting reflect that the committee carried out all of its responsibilities outlined in paragraph 26 of the committee charter during calendar year 2022.
Thank you very much, Regent O'Connor, and thanks for your great work. The minutes for today's meeting will reflect your statement and confirmation. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Chancellor Lee for hosting the Board of Regents at UNO yesterday. I'm pleased that we had an amazing illustration of what's going on the campus and how that is impacting not only the university but the state, the nation, and the world. And amazing faculty, amazing presentations, and of course amazing students. So thank you very much for your great leadership, and thank you very much for hosting us yesterday. It was a great event. I'm going to turn it over to you now so that you can showcase some more of the great things that are happening on your campus here at UNO.
So good morning, Regents, Mr. President, fellow Chancellor, colleagues. We're very excited. UNO is very excited to welcome you here on campus of UNO. So in the past, many worked in higher education would have spent significant amount of time in their careers to chase the label of Research 1 and Research 2 categories created by the Carnegie Foundation many, many moons ago. Now, as a person who graduated from a Research 1 school and worked for Research 1 schools before, I often have a little skepticism as a professor of finance by training. In fact, higher education has just entered one of the most critical and yet exciting times in recent history. The American Council on Higher Education, or known as the ACE, along with the Carnegie Foundation, have worked collaboratively in the past 2+ years to work on revamping classification of universities and colleges based on their contribution to the society. Here comes the Social and Economic Mobility Index. Now, personally, I'm very excited about this new index because it will promote universities and colleges to honor their missions at UNO, we believe with the conviction that our first and foremost responsibility is to educate citizens. And by the way, congratulations to President Carter again for being elected to serve the ACE board. Nebraska has a strong voice in this important discussion. So recall what my colleague, our Chief Engagement Officer, Sarah Wood, said yesterday. In 2014, UNO was the only university awarded by the US President in Higher Education Community Service on his work on increasing economic opportunity for all our learners. We're also one of the first universities recognized by the Carnegie Foundation in community engagement. UNO consistently being ranked one of the best and most friendly universities to serve our veterans. We have multiple programs that also rank in the country by the US News and World Reports. But among all, I'm extremely proud that UNO is the highest ranked university in Nebraska system in social mobility by the US News and World Report. Today's presentation will be about the future of teaching, learning, and working, and about what UNO is doing to position our students and our state for future economy. Our co-presenters include our Senior Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Dr. Phil He, our Dean for the College of Information Science and Technology, Dr. Martha Garcia Murillo, and our Associate Vice Chancellor for Innovative and Learning-Centric Initiatives, Dr. Jackie Lindbergh. They will dive into different segments of our discussion today. Please feel free to ask questions during the presentation, but please do remember, UNO doesn't like to talk at you. We love to talk with you. And we also have a segment for Q&A. Now, yesterday, some of you got a chance to visit quite a few STAR programs at UNO, our National Counterterrorism for Innovation, Technology, and Education, otherwise known as the Center of Excellence for the Department of Homeland Security. The #1 biomechanics department, in collaboration with our health and kinesiology, you saw a professional baseball pitcher and in the pitch lab. Our spanking new flight simulator, a 737, many of you did not crash, at our Aviation Institute. The high-tech Korolaski Commerce and Applied Behavioral Lab. And you were also greeted by two Peppers, one of our cutest robots on campus. These are just some highlights that we could only gem in such a short visit. Now, in reflection, our goal is to impress upon you what UNO is doing every day to prepare our students through real-life experience and top-tier research so that they will be the workforce for future economy. UNO is here to solve problems. We're here to educate. With that, I'm going to turn the floor to Phil.
Thank you, Chancellor. If I may start with a personal note. 1993, the board approved the first standalone UNO PhD program. I came here in 1994, one of the first cohort students. In 1997, I left UNO with a PhD degree, the first PhD degree from that program, and I drove out of Omaha to the University of Texas, San Antonio in the winter, 3 days before New Year's Day. 26 years later, I drove back to Omaha 3 days before New Year's Day, start my job here January 3rd, a 26 years round trip home. And thank you for the board for your investment in a PhD program in criminal justice and also public administration, 1993, 1994. I can tell you very proudly that our graduates are making you proud everywhere in the world. If you would ask me for the investment that the Board of Trustees gave to University of Nebraska 30 years ago, $5 million investment in CJ, $5 million investment for public administration, and you now have in front of you two programs that's top ranked in the country. I checked this morning. Some of our public administration programs are ranked way ahead of Harvard. We're talking about top 10 ranked program. Harvard and Michigan, two of the best private and public university. So I want to say thank you for your investment in us, in me, and in the University of Nebraska, Omaha. All right, I shall move on with the slides. So, as a chief academic officer, I came back to UNO this winter to do a lot of things. A lot of things actually have already happened. I can tell you that for this young institution, we've been here, UNO here, 115 years. And the oldest university in the country, Harvard, has been there exactly 387 years. And every institution is proud of our general education, the cornerstone of what you have to offer. We have over 4,000 colleges and universities in the country. What makes one unique? And this is a question we, of course, are thinking about every day. Our wonderful colleagues at UNO is doing exactly that. We are reimagining general education. We want to make UNO education unique, and you will hear from my colleagues about why we have that unique education and how do we do it, and what more can we do. All right. So I will not read through all the slides, but I'll share with you that there is momentum. I take no credit. I just got in here 93 days ago. The credit's due to the community. Nebraska Department of Labor has a list of over 700 occupations in the state. Among them, there are occupations identified to be high skill, high wage, high demand, the 3H. And University of Nebraska, Omaha, my colleagues have already, last year alone, working on 52 academic program updates, precisely targeting an area of growth, the 3H area, the top 20 areas. We have made progress. And that focus is on STEM, healthcare, education, and business innovation. So rest assured, we are moving along with the speed of business. We are helping to produce the future workforce for Nebraska, for the United States. The following three programs are actually on the agenda as a reporting item for the Board of Regents today. Executive Business Analytics, Executive Business Leadership. And I also want to tell you a little story about something we hold dear and very proud of. It's our Division of Continuing Studies. That was founded in 1950 at our Air Force Base, as well as on our Dodge campus. Today, 27,000 alumni have graduated from that program. We count Secretary Chuck Hagel as one of our alumni. And I had the pleasure of introducing him last night at Chuck Hagel Forum for Global Leadership. So we should be very proud. What we're doing with that program, and in response to the challenges the board and the president gave us, is to serve the population, to produce a workforce. And you can tell, 18 to 80, the student age, are involved in that program. I have taught 3 semesters at UNO, 1 semester in Lincoln campus, criminal justice program, 2 semesters here. I can tell you in my own class, I've seen students from 18 to 70, not quite 80. But in Lincoln campus, typically I have students from 18 to 22. So that's our lasting tradition, and we should be very proud of it. So we're ready for, bless you. For that division, we offer a Bachelor of Multidisciplinary Study that's intentionally designed to be agile, adaptable. So if you look at the characteristics here, non-credit to credit pathways, stackable credentials, individualize the plan of study, in-demand skills, and be responsive to workforce demand. This is everything every other university are trying to do right now. We started 3/4 of a century ago. We should be very proud. And the University of Nebraska, Omaha is ready. And ready to scale, to do more, to do even better. And I cannot help looking at the bell tower outside. The first photo I took in 1994, before my enrollment for my first semester here as a doctoral student, was right in front of that bell tower, facing that direction. And I'm now facing this tower right here. And this was a parking lot. Regent Weitz, dear Barbara,
Yes.
I almost feel like this presentation, I'm doing it in your living room. And thank you very much for your contribution, for your mentorship, for being part of this community and leading us. So yesterday, my colleague Julie Dierberger presented to you verbally about what makes UNO education unique. That is, we're community engaged. And she said those numbers, but I want you to see it today. Over 300,000 hours by our students. Not only serving the community that they're from, but serving with the community and making contribution to their community. And 677 classes with that component in there. I'm not aware of any other university who is doing better than us. So I'm exceptionally proud. And this building is a testament to our resolve and dedication to what we hold dear. This is a community-engaged university. I don't need to explain a whole lot. This is all over Nebraska. This university has earned the trust in a partnership. Over 1,000 partners, and including 850 across Nebraska. You can see those activities, our students working with our partners everywhere in Nebraska. So can we brag? Yes, we should. We are a giant in experiential learning. We're a giant, and we need to be doing even better. So I want to share with you before I leave my segment of the presentation that my colleagues, my outstanding colleagues, are responding to the Chancellor's call for us to be a national leader in competence-based education. We have good tradition, and we are going to do even better. And that competence-based education will challenge our mindset about a traditional education that is classroom-based. You sit in a seat, in person, credit hour-based, degree-based. Of course, we'll still do that, but we can do far more. For what purpose? We want to make our education to be outcome-based. We want our students to demonstrate their skills. We want the curriculum to be nimble enough to allow our learners to meet where they are. Self-pacing, for example, and we want to make them employment ready. We want to align with micro-credentialing and badging. It's not either or, it's and. We want to have a powerful education. And to demonstrate that, I invite my colleagues, Martha and Jackie, to show you what we are doing. Thank you.
I asked for no podium because, of course, you only see my head, but, you know, whatever it is, it is. So, my name is Marta Garcia Murillo. I am the Dean of the College of Information Science and Technology. And last year, under our fearless leader, Chancellor Lee, the university introduced the Career Connect initiative. This is our objective to try to give every single student a paid internship. This has been found to be incredibly helpful to retain students in our state. And it's also helpful because it will increase their salaries and their confidence when they graduate. This is just a sample of the companies that have already pledged that commitment to our students. And this is wonderful because we don't want our students to just have one, but maybe 2 or 3 internships, because the more they have, the more confident they will be in their fields. Sometimes we're clueless. Just remember yourself at 17 years old, you didn't know what you wanted to be, but if you have many experiences, it will be easier. Now, within the College of ISNT, we have what we call the Learn and Earn Initiative. Now, I'm gonna take you on a journey as if you were my student, and you're gonna see what you're gonna do when you get to our college. Now, the objective of this initiative is to address 2 of Nebraska's great problems. One of them is that we're losing population in many parts of our state. So we need to ground them to Nebraska, retain them here. The other one is in the tech sector. So the same thing, we want to ground them to Nebraska to keep them here. If we don't do that, we risk finding ourselves in a cycle of population and talent loss with outward migration. So what is it that we're doing? Now, before I get there, I want to give you a couple of data points. We did a survey with our entry class, 103 students, and we asked them, what companies do you want to work for after you graduate? And only 12 of 103 students were able to identify Nebraska companies. Then we asked them, what companies in Nebraska do you want to work for? And only 17 of 103 students were able to identify Nebraska companies. That's a tragedy because there are so many opportunities. So what is it that we're doing to address that problem? So this is the schematic of Learn and Earn, and I'm gonna walk you through that. We have partnerships with pre-college initiatives to connect all of those after school and summer camps in the STEM field, so the kid that starts in elementary begins to expose itself, so when they get to us, they're already familiar and they choose our fields. We also have a great partnership with Metro where they seamlessly transfer to ISNT. When they get to us, and this is you coming to college, all of our students are enrolled in this first year seminar where part of their seminar is a shadow. This is your first exploration to the field. We have 20 partners. We place 120 or so kids in 3 different companies, and these are just some pictures of those experiences. In their second year, we want them to engage in projects. We call them micro internships that are 5 to 40 hours, and the best part of it is that it can be with any company in the entire state because they are remote. So our students can be working from a small company out there in Western Nebraska. Year 3 and 4, we want them to be in year-long internships because many of our students work part-time. Unfortunately, they work in non-tech related jobs, and we want to substitute them for tech-related jobs as year-long internships. Let me give you an example of how important this is. Last month, I needed to select the Dean's Award. I got 4 resumes, and this is one of them. I'll show you the other one. Academically outstanding student, 4.0 GPA, but look at the experiences, Whole Foods and scooters. Now I'm gonna show you a second resume, and this is another academically outstanding, but look at the experiences. Software development internship at UP, Nebraska medicine, and now the science studio kind of experience. Of course, the scholarship made a big difference, but the internship makes a big difference. If these students, all of us, our students, have those internships, they're gonna get great jobs and they're going to get embedded to our community. So finally, and this is a dream of mine with Dean Lance from UNL in engineering, we want to create this hub where all of our students can get holistic support in career advice, academic advice, peer tutoring, mentoring experiences, mental health, etc. So we're working together to make this a reality. And after they graduate, they can go to post-graduation opportunities. If you want to remember one thing, remember, these experiential opportunities for our students not only is great for our students, but it has a tremendous economic impact at small and medium companies all over the state. So thank you very much.
up. All right. Hi, I am Jackie Lindberg. I serve as Associate Vice Chancellor of Innovative and Learning-Centric Initiatives here at UNO. I'm very grateful to have been a part of the University of Nebraska community for 11 years now. I actually grew up in the panhandle of this state on a ranch in rural Scottsbluff County. So to work in a role every day where I get to advocate for access to higher education is so meaningful and very personal to me. As you've heard from a lot of the other presenters this morning, UNO is doing everything we can to align what we're offering to what's needed most here in Omaha, in the region, in the state, and beyond. We're enthusiastic and we're passionate about supporting workforce development efforts, and I'm thrilled to tell you about one of those efforts this morning that we call micro-credentialing. So UNO has a rich history in digital learning. We're actually celebrating 25 years of excellence in online learning this year. Our faculty were some of the first in the state to develop what we call today quality online asynchronous education. And our faculty are especially skilled today at creating very meaningful relationships and real engagement, even when they're doing so through technology. Online's been a key strategy here at UNO to not just recruit our students and increase our access, but also retain students that need flexibility as they work their way through their programs. So what you might have heard in meetings like this called online learning, distance education, digital learning over the past 25 years, we now just call that learning because it's a huge part of what every faculty member and student are doing when they're here at UNO. So this foundation that I'm describing is part of what makes us very well poised to begin developing and delivering what we call micro-credentials. So what is a micro-credential, you ask? They're delivered via a learning management system, typically. They're shorter form, so they're not a degree or a course. They're non-credit, and they're very skills-based. Think about a bite-sized chunk. They're aligned to do reskilling and upskilling throughout a person's lifetime. We see these as very complementary to full degrees, even though they are separate. And they allow us to be incredibly responsive and agile to what's needed. So why would we do this? What's the demand? You're seeing some pretty big data points on the slides right now from the World Economic Forum and Forbes. And these are current employees in the workforce self-reporting through some large surveys. 70% of people don't feel prepared for the future of work. 80% are concerned they lack the skills that are needed today. 58% believe their skills have gone stale since the pandemic. So those are pretty telling. This is part of the reason why we see this as a critical strategy for us to meet the ongoing workforce development needs throughout someone's career. So I want you to picture people that might engage in these micro-credentials. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. Picture a director of operations whose organization's growing rapidly, both in size and technology use. They might now need technical project management skills to navigate what they're buying and deploying through their company. Picture a utilities manager. I think you all heard from Insight yesterday, but these folks are really concerned about the increased number of attacks on critical infrastructure, but they're gonna need counterterrorism education to understand how to respond and keep those assets secure. Picture a senior leader who's getting a lot of data from their team, but maybe they need enhanced skills with understanding those data analytics themselves to make really good decisions. That's the kind of reskilling and upskilling this university is interested in building. So how do we know what we're going to offer? We're doing a lot of market research right now, and we have access to some really amazing tools that allow us to scrape a lot of job boards and postings and look for themes. So we're able to see what jobs are we hiring for the most in this region? What are the skills that are needed in those roles? So we're looking all the time. We also are trying to gain, and we have gained, a really good understanding of the impact of digital transformation on a wide variety of industries. So much of this is tech-driven because of what we're seeing in this country. Also, we're trying to gain an awareness very directly of what our partners need and their current issues that they're experiencing in the workforce. So what you're seeing on the slide right now is an event that we do every semester that's an example of how we're trying to partner and co-create and really drive that conversation with our partners. So we've started hosting what we call a Future of Work Symposium. We're doing our second one here in a few weeks. You're all welcome to join us. But that's just really a dialogue in this campus. We invite a couple hundred people to come and talk about their organizations, their industries, what they're seeing and needing, so that we can hear it and co-create and walk alongside them in bringing solutions. And it's been a lot of fun so far. I also want to show you an example of what a micro-credential we're going to offer is. This is Ed Cochran. He's developing a micro-credential on change management and resiliency. I don't know one industry right now that doesn't need extra training in managing change, right? We're all going through it. It's shorter form. It's just 15 actual hours, not credit hours, 15 hours of someone's time. It's aimed at a wide variety of managers and professionals. About $400 is what we plan to charge. So the rationale is that this is a greatly needed skill, but if you actually look at some of the data that we're using, you can see that this also changes the game for what someone can qualify for and also what they're able to make when they can verify that they have skills in something like change management and resiliency. All right, this is my last slide. So how does a learner signal what they've earned? This is a new area, right? So the credible signal comes through these digital badges that you're seeing examples of on the slide. These are heavily branded UNO, right? And they can easily be shared by a learner through platforms like LinkedIn or with an HR hiring manager. In fact, the learners can keep a digital backpack of the different badges they're earning, and they decide which ones they want to share with an employer or a new job opportunity. We think this is very impactful also as employers are using more and more skills-based hiring. It's just a very direct signal. So we're developing several micro-credentials right now. The first will be available this summer for public registration, and we intend to have cycles where we're developing micro-credentials throughout the year, every year. This initiative is very, very well timed for UNO. We're in a tremendous position of strength and poised to be a national leader in upskilling and reskilling efforts due to our experience with teaching with technology and also our extensive partnerships here in Omaha. So as I turn this back over to Chancellor Lee, I just want to close by reiterating how micro-credentials are really helping us to increase our agility, really partner for workforce development, and also really help with an individual's social mobility throughout their career. Thank you for your time this morning.
So the U.S. Chamber of Commerce reports that even if every unemployed American got a job today, we will still be short a little bit over 4 million to fill current positions. Now, recently, you started to hear our president and also the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce, Brian Sloan, talk about we have more than 80,000 jobs unfilled in Nebraska. As of academic year 2021, more than 300,000 Nebraskans have completed some kind of college coursework, but never got a degree or credential. So a majority of them, actually roughly around 35 or above. So to add that, the Nebraska Department of Labor estimates of roughly 12,000 high-wage, high-demand, high-skill, the H3 job annual openings, only roughly half of them get filled. And they actually require at least a bachelor's degree or higher. So while serving on the Higher Learning Commission as one of the trustees, I found out that 74% of our learners these days in the United States are classified as non-traditional students. They are no longer your typical student who just show up and attend classes. Many of them are students you'll find here at UNO, first-generation college student, adult learners, family from economically disadvantaged communities. They are now the majority of learners in our country. So why UNO is your future? So there's undeniable discussion going on. Demand for well-educated workforce is increasing as the economy becoming more tech-driven. Data will point out that by 2030, 65% of all jobs in the state of Nebraska will require at least a bachelor's degree. Now, simultaneously, we also know, if you do your math correctly, by 2030, all baby boomers are qualified to retire. Nebraska currently ranked 39th out of 50 states in median earnings for those in computer, engineering, and science occupations. In 2020, the World Economic Forum projected by the year of 2025, half of all employees across the world will need some form of reskilling and upskilling to meet the 97 million new careers created via technology. And by 2030, the same year, automation will create a net 12 million new jobs in the world. So expanding the workforce requires us to abandon the business as usual attitude. First, we need to draw the underserved communities to higher education. Number two, we need to acquire talents from somewhere else. Number three, with limited resources, UNO will need to identify strategy areas to grow. We'll stay focused on meeting the demand of future economy while recognizing the need of education is shifting and the profile of our learner is actually evolving. So during the last board meeting, Dr. Josie Schaefer talked about the workforce landscape and likely instill a sense of urgency or anxiety in all of us. That's why in the past year or so, UNO has going around town telling people we have 2 strategic goals for meeting that kind of demand. Looking at the number, we know we got to do more. And the math is simple. If we want to provide more into the workforce, we need to bring in more to higher education. More output implies you need to increase your input. First articulated goal for UNO is regarding student performance. First and foremost, we're here to educate. So 4 things we're going to hold UNO ourselves accountable. For every single learner comes in with the intention to get a degree, may that candidate walk out with a degree. Time to degree, we're not going to put our candidate in a mold. We know a lot of our students are adult learner, non-traditional learner. We're not going to say, hey, you got to graduate 4 years. You're going to graduate 3.5. In fact, the time to degree is asking UNO to do a self-reflection. Are we looking at our curriculum that will create a very cost-effective and time-efficient journey? Minimize all the duplication in our curriculum. That's why Dr. He was talking about we're looking at our general education to make sure that we are going to make UNO competitive. Make the journey for all our candidates efficient. Meaningful retention, I have to say last fall, we increased our 4-year graduation from 69% to 74%. We're not celebrating. We're not going to stop. In fact, we actually ask ourselves, what can we do more? Even though we are the urban university, we know we have a very diverse student body, they have a lot of economic challenges, so what? Let's be obsessed about making sure that we can retain them first year, second year, third year, all the way until they cross the finish line. The last one is strategic recruitment, directly relating to how to increase the input of our candidate. And I have talked to Greater Chamber of Commerce, and the town loved the analogy. I'm going to give it again. If we want to eat more lunch, there are 2 ways to do it. You're going to either make more lunches, or you're going to take someone's lunches. How do you make more lunches? Very simple. Let's ask ourselves, as University of Nebraska in Omaha, our first and foremost is serve Nebraskan. Let's go to our communities and bring their families to us. Look for our in-state growth. Second, we actually did a press release last week, and hope you follow up what's going on in UNO. I know my regents are very diligent. We just presented a new strategy called Omaha Urban Rate, also known as our tuition is also yours. So we're going to go after the 11 neighboring states surrounding Nebraska, and we're going to offer them a very price-sensitive portfolio and say, hey, if you come to the state of Nebraska, enroll in UNO, you're only required to pay 1.5 times our local students' rate. Because UNO tuition rate is fairly low, 1.5 times is still very low. We are very competitive across the 11 states. And the last bit of taking other people's lunches, we have been executing a strategy to go after our international students and let them know this is where you're going to get the true American experience, is in the Midwest, in Omaha, in Nebraska. So we have been observing double-digit percentage growth and triple-digit percentage growth from undergraduate and also graduate student body. And we're excited that we will meet our goal, hopefully, in 2026. 10% of our student body will be represented by international students so that we can create a global workforce profile for UNO. The second goal is most people talk about, but understand without the first goal, there's no second goal. So we are going to be successful in the first goal so that we can emphasize and articulate our workforce development goal. Now, you have already heard my 3 previous presenter talk about how we are using our strategy to enrich our workforce. Experiential learning is very important, and UNO is leading it. We talk about a Career Connect, because it is important, not only for our students, but for our community, to send a credible signal to our future workforce and say, this is a community of care and attention. You not come here to work for free. I know you're a professional in training. We want to show you our goodwill. We want you to stay. So paid internship is important for the state of Nebraska. According to Washington Post, 43% of the internship in the country currently is unpaid. I'm sorry, it cannot be happening at UNO because our students have to work and pay for some of their school. If you ask them to work for free, they may have to take up the third part-time job so that they can come and work for you. That is not a community of care and attention. And I'm so, so grateful that a lot of employers just answer to the call and say, we will be your partner. And understand statistics will tell you, all those employees that offer internship, 70% of the employees will eventually offer full-time job to our student. That is the magic of retention of talent. You also heard that UNO has over 1,000, actually it's 1,100 partners in the country, with 850 of them across Nebraska. This is the magical moment for UNO, because not only the partnership is important, our students in general, on average, on an annual basis, contribute over 300,000 hours to the community. That is what a community stands for. We train the talents so they can give back. Competency-based curriculum is a very important strategy for UNO because not all learners learn the same. Long gone are the days that we think everyone can come into the classroom, take 5 exams, and get an A. Because not every single learner is make the same. Some people actually learn better, like how to write Python, how to fly a plane, right? We have the Top Gun, president here. We know. I hope you're really not just taking tests. I hope you're really flying the plane. The competency-based curriculum is very important. That is the next round of innovation in teaching pedagogy. We are going to reach out to students and say, guess what? We are going to show you the way. You're not necessarily being molded into a certain way of learning. We allow you to learn at your own pace. So we will be one of the first early mover in competency-based learning in higher ed. And micro-credential is a way for UNO to diversify our portfolio of offering. We believe going forward in developing workforce is not only about degree seeking. We believe that a lot more professionals will need the partnership of a higher education so that they will continue to be a better professional while they're doing their job. In conceptual way, you think about, all right, we create a relevant and timely curriculum. We'll continue to evolve on that. We'll recognize a learner, and we'll give the learner experiential learning a little bit, understand that how to build that relation. The goal is very simple. We are going to convert transaction into relations. It is important to retain your talent through relationship, not transaction. Once they come in UNO, they will be forever a Maverick. And the last piece is important. That is our hypothesis currently. We believe that in order to retain talent, acquire talent, we need a very well-connected community. We need a very well-connected city. We need a very well-connected state. We are going to be the catalyst of connecting all our cultural partners, such as the Luminarium, the zoo. You'll see UNO at the zoo very soon. You'll see UNO at the Luminarium. You'll see UNO at the Symphony. You'll see UNO at the Opera Omaha. This is cultural engage because we want to paint a picture for all our learners. Guess what? If you come to Nebraska, you're part of the community. You can go to Omaha Festival with your friends. They can see that they can start a family right here in the state of Nebraska. Ultimately, if we achieve our 2 goals, accomplish student performance, succeed in workforce development, we will be able to advance social mobility. And that is first and foremost of higher education. That is why UNO calling attention to the year of 2023, the year of social mobility. We are taking on a journey to change the narrative of higher education. We want to focus on the output while being mindful of the input. We want to educate all learners. We want to be known for our inclusion, not exclusion. We believe if we do our job right, we change not only our candidates, but their families and communities. And I'm proud to be the chancellor of UNO because I am an example of social mobility. First generation college student, grow up poor, got educated by this beautiful country, living my life, having a wonderful dream job, changed the trajectory of my family's future. Now my daughter going to university and believe that's her path. This is the influence of higher education. This is the power of social mobility. At UNO, our dream is very simple. We want every learner walked out to be gainfully employed. This is a commitment that our leadership team, our wonderful faculty, and our hardworking staff is making every day. So with that, I give you a 10-second to breathe. We welcome you to ask any kind of question, and my colleagues are here. They will welcome any kind of question.
Fantastic. I've got a comment, and then I'll open it up for some questions.
Yes, sir.
So the question has been asked, is higher ed really worth it? And I can't emphasize more that college education, higher education, is extraordinarily valuable and worth it to our young people when you consider the fact that in 2030, which is 6.5 years from now, 6.5 years, that 65% of the jobs are going to require some sort of college education, that all of the baby boomers will then be of that retirement age, and that 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't even been invented yet. Think about that stat, and think about that when you're thinking about, is higher ed worth it? So how do you educate you provide that education, but what does a student use it for? And internships are the answer. I would just close before I ask for a response from you on that, but I'm a product of an internship. I worked at my law firm when I was in college. I worked there as a law clerk in 1991, and in September I'll celebrate 31 years working for that same law firm, and I've raised my family there. I have my kids have gone to school there, gone to school in Lincoln. Internships are the way, and it exposes them, exposes the student to career opportunities. Maybe those are not opportunities that the student wants to take, and it exposes them early. But maybe it's the opportunity that students want to take and want to fill they're passionate about. So I couldn't think of something more exciting than internships for that college education. It provides another layer of education, if you will, to that student. So those are my comments. I really applaud what you're doing.
Thank you, Regent. We're proud that you are Regent and speak, to the depth of what internship can do. If you think about in terms of science going forward, right, 2030, as we are entering the fourth industrial revolution, there's a lot of AI, machine learning. We are talking about ChatGPT on our Future Work Symposium. And internship and community engagement actually allow the agile learning because it's interactive, right? And you create a very rapid prototyping. While you're going through your internship, you also learn how to work with technology, also work with people. And probably one of the most sought after skill set, it's really not just about technology. It's really about leadership and collaborative spirit. But if we just constantly think about our own pedagogy is the only pedagogy of teaching, that is actually not going to cut it in this coming few years. And I think that opening our door to bringing partner in, and we are sitting in Barbara Weitz CBC, right, the Community Engagement Center, it's a very meaningful opportunity to showcase why this university is heading in the right direction. And I started the discussion about Carnegie Foundation, talking about the social mobility and economic index for a reason. Right? I really truly believe deep in my heart, UNO is poised to do that. We are going to take leadership among all the higher ed, and we will continue to challenge ourselves. Are we doing enough? We have to move very fast, right? So the attitude to adapt is going to make UNO a wonderful leader in higher ed for that regard. Any
Other
other
questions? Paul.
Excuse me. Chancellor, it's more of a comment than a question, but the tour, I commend you for that. It was great. And I thought about last night about you're reading my eyes, you're reading my
The cat lab?
what the implications are in that for the future of many, many things on selecting what we should do at what time and there's no BS to it because you know what the heart and eyes are doing and they take you to that point immediately.
So I think science will in many ways dictate the way we design our curriculum and also the pedagogy of teaching, right? Having equipment and with the generous donor support, right? It's actually provides students a shorter path, right? And we talk about aviation simulator, right? And people say, well, so you have a fancy toy. It is not, because students actually can fly the simulator and earn hours accumulated for the future work path, right? And I think Dean Bartle talked about it. Now that, the student just graduated in 4 years, she will be flying for Southwest commercial airline. 4 years to accumulate an hours. That is tremendous how we have shortened the journey to get to that truly a professional job. So I think technology absolutely will change the way our students learn, but university will have to make investment in understanding, right? What kind of technology? Because technology will be obsolete very fast. So how do you train the culture, build a culture of being adapting and learn fast? So you have to come on April 21st on a future work. We're really going to talk about it, so we cannot let go of the secret right now. But
I'm very excited about what I've been hearing, and of course, my interest is, because I'm a social worker, is in nonprofit organizations, and paid internships are very few and far between in the nonprofits. And I see the partnerships with businesses being a great opportunity, but how can we find the money for paid internships in the nonprofit world?
so currently, the state of Nebraska has a bill, and it gives $20 million. Not a lot of money. It sounds like really frugal. Not a lot of money, 20 million, but $20 million will be helping some of the organization with 50 or fewer employee to paid student for paid internship. And we, as a university, the only four-year public, research university right here in Omaha, we've been trying to partner up with the private foundation, Aksaban Foundation. They're the one as an agency to distribute the 20 million. Because I think UNO already has an infrastructure. So we are really going to try to work, with the agency and say, hey, what can we do to help some of the nonprofit organization so the employees will get an experience with our students? And many of our students want to work for nonprofits. I want to say that. So that's one part, right? From the government side, we can get some support. But also philanthropically, we will need the community understand, right? The pipeline is drying up if we don't have the money to help the student. So what can we do to talk with the community and making sure that even for teacher, right, going to the practicum, they have to pay for their own internship, right? And that is not a good way to produce more teachers, because on top of not making a lot of money, they really try to do it because of compassion. So we have been, has been in conversation with multiple constituency asking for the help. And I don't have a great answer yet, but I do believe at least right now we have about $20 million for those.
Thank you.
Yes, Regent.
Chancellor, this is extraordinary work. I think we've heard repeatedly from leaders across Nebraska, from the governor to the unicameral to chambers of commerce, that the risk of losing workforce and talent in Nebraska is one of its top priorities, addressing that risk. And I can't emphasize enough how encouraging it is to have UNO responding to this need in such a concrete and proactive way. But most importantly, it prioritizes the student, which is why we're here. I've spoken with a lot of young people today, and as a young person myself, the risk of student debts rising, the nation facing inflation, and young people being unsure about their economic future means that we really need to find a way to demonstrate our value, not only to our community, but to our state and our nation. This focus on experiential learning and paid internships and skills-based competency focus seems like it's a really good formula. Have you had a chance to speak to students? Do they feel like this increases the value of a college education in their eyes?
Are you asking for the competency base, particularly?
Well, any of the three, but the competency-based or paid internships in particular, do they feel like that addresses their concerns about higher ed?
So the national student loan average around 37. It has been stabilizing, right? There's a lot of federal discussion about what we can do. And for the state of Nebraska, our average student loan is significantly below that 37. But I'm going to challenge the thought, right? So sometimes there's something called over leverage. Sometimes there's something called under leverage. Sometimes I would like to say to a student, it's okay to get a little financial loan. I was talking from a professor of finance. Get a student loan, but you will be able to maybe finish your degree in a more efficient manner. So in that way, I would say that a student may be under leverage, right? How can we make students smarter to make financial choices? So that's one piece of it. And the second piece about this is a lot of discussion we presented today in terms of creating a more agile general education curriculum, creating competency base, and also what I call the micro badging, micro credential. It is actually not just doing it by excitement. We're doing it because we're based on survey and statistics. And being served as a trustee of the Higher Learning Commission, I have the privilege of looking to a lot more data from different sides of it across the country, because Higher Learning Commission is the largest accreditor in the United States. There are over 900 something institutions. So we are doing it and we're debating it. What we presented to you is over a year work already. We have talked among our colleagues and students. When we first announced the Career Connect, I would say that Regents Sim and along with some other students actually came to me, this is great because I don't really have to work another job that is not related to my profession, but I can work a job that will probably pave the way for me to go to a profession, but at the same time I get compensated. But to all the employees out there listening to this public meeting, I would say, they ask me, well, how much should I pay? Well, pay the market price, because Omaha and Nebraska is very competitive. We are very competitive, right? You don't want to shortchange a student because that student may be your future CEO in a company. So I always believe that. So I would say overall it's been responding very well. And our academy are really debating and understanding. We're also learning and growing. And our goal here is to really kind of speed up our pace, so to speak, right? We will not be the last mover. We must not be the last mover. We want to be the early mover. So sometimes early mover will have to take manageable risk, right? And I always say to my colleagues, we don't have to worry about making mistakes. As long as they're manageable mistake, as long as we don't make the mistake twice, let's use those mistakes and learn so that we can grow together. So UNO has a very adaptive, mindset right now. So we did talk to some students. They're excited. But I know that in response to, for instance, micro-credential, employees are excited about it. A lot of CEO come to me and say, we are in. What can we do? Can you design a course for us? So it's a pull and push strategy for us right now.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I think being so community-based is going to be such an advantage for our students moving forward, and I think it's a really unique opportunity for the university as well.
Thank you for the word of encouragement. Yes, Regent, and there are three.
Cool. Having taught here many decades ago, it's been impressive. Your energy and your passion is extraordinary, but we've seen your vision the last couple of days and what you've brought to this campus and tailoring the curriculum to the demographics of your students and the needs in the community, and we're blessed to have you. So thank you.
Thank you. As I share, I felt like I married up by coming to UNO. I have wonderful colleagues, students, and hardworking staff. I'm just so proud to wake up every morning to be able to serve alongside with them. Yes, Regent?
I just wanted to say thank you first off. It's so clear from the last year of working with Tori and their leadership and testimony about their experience at UNO to the tour yesterday, this presentation, and the students we got to chat with yesterday. It's so clear that everything you're doing has student success and students' best wishes at the forefront. And you and your colleagues are truly paving a way, a wide path for students that never had a path before. And that is so appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you. Did I hear Maverick in the future?
Always.
Grad school here.
It's always selling.
Regent Shear, did you have a
Yes,
question?
Regent Shear.
Well, no, as a comment, I've got a mic in front of me, and so I'm going to take advantage of it. I really want to thank you and your colleagues for the presentations this morning and the event yesterday. It was eye-opening for me. It's been a long time since I've been on the campus. But what I was really happy to see and want to congratulate you on is when we look at the internships in your partner base, it's not necessarily Omaha-based, it's Nebraska-based. And I'm not from Omaha. I represent a rural area. And when I see that Nebraska, like a lot of large rural states, has a migration problem, and this may not solve the problem, but it might help mitigate it. And to get the things that you're offering to the rural areas, especially on a non-attended basis, to help those in the more rural areas keep up and excel and make themselves marketable in their areas as well, is very thoughtful on your part and appreciated by the rural folks because they need the help probably more so than Omaha. Omaha is on remote control. I mean, it's growing, and I congratulate them for them. It's hard work for them and hard work for this university here, but the rest of Nebraska needs help as well, and through the university system in whole. But we're here, so I'll talk directly to you. Certainly it is refreshing to see that thought pattern to include the rest of the state and the growth perspective. So I want to thank you and the rest of your staff and colleagues on the campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent. Our motto at UNO is we serve all students. We're going to use technology and pedagogy to reach into all students.
And by the way, I'm not a maverick, I'm a Husker, but I appreciate everything that you're doing. So.
We love all university within the system. So.
I would like to echo Regent Shear's comments, because from Western Nebraska, that's what I heard much of. They didn't understand why always the students needed to come east to get the education. They did feel that internships would help those individuals plant roots that would keep them in that area. We know when they come to college, they often fall in love and then they move somewhere else. So if we can keep them west, hopefully they'll stay there, raise their families, and it will be a real boom to our workforce out there, and we need that.
Thank you, Regent. Great comment. Appreciate it.
Anything else? Maybe you don't hear about all the great things that the university is doing, and I think after today's presentations, you were able to get just a brief snapshot of just some of the many things that the university is doing to change a student's life, change their family's life, change the state, nation, and the world in many cases. So thank you for coming. I also would be remiss if I didn't recognize this building where we're sitting in. And Barb, I want to single you out because thank you for your tremendous commitment, certainly on the board, but also for your support of the University of Nebraska in with this building too. Thank you very much.
Well, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell you how many people worked to make this happen. And many of the people in this room, I am so grateful for, but really, I've been gone. And the things that have happened in this building have happened because of the students, the faculty, and the staff that we have at UNO. And the fact that it's flourished and that it serves a greater purpose is humbling to me. And I am just thrilled with where we're going with engagement. And, it's like watching a dream come true. And that's in itself an incredible payment for what we did. And thank all of you, really. Thank you so much. I really mean it from my heart. It's incredible.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So at the beginning of every board meeting, we take time to recognize those persons who all too often don't receive the recognition that they deserve. The board believes that it is vitally important that we acknowledge your commitment as well as your contributions to the university. To have been nominated by either a supervisor or a peer is an honor in and of itself. So we're going to start our kudos presentations right now, and as kudos recipients are announced, please come to the podium and join the regent that's making the presentation. Following each presentation, we will take a picture that will appear on our website. The president, chancellor, and the recipients' families and supporters will be invited to join for the photograph. Our first kudos recipient is Rachel Page from the University of Nebraska at Kearney, and the award will be presented by Regent Sadi.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to present a Kudos Award to Rachel Page, Associate Athletic Director for Compliance and Student Services and Senior Women's Administrator at UNK. A native of St. Joseph, Missouri, and a former member of the Loper swim team, Rachel is a 3-time graduate of UNK. She earned her bachelor's in sports management and sports communication in 2010, her master's in sports management in 2012, and her master's in counseling and educational psychology in 2019. Rachel previously served as assistant athletic director and was promoted to her current role in 2021. Athletic Director Mark Bauer describes Rachel as goal-oriented and passionate, as a difference maker, and as a nurturing, generous, and loving leader who exercises sound judgment in essential matters, dares to assume responsibility and serve others while maintaining her integrity consistently. Her job responsibilities include oversight of all athletic compliance issues, including rules, regulations, new legislation, waivers, reports, representation, and interpretation. Rachel has oversight of all student services, such as student-athlete adjustment, academic eligibility, academic and career planning and programming. She also oversees and advises the Student-Athlete Advisory Committee, assists with coordination of community service projects and outreach, and represents athletes on campus committees. I always tell our student athletes, I am here to help you, says Rachel. If I can't help you myself, I will find someone on campus who can. And she does, without fail. In her spare time, do you have any spare time? That was a lot. Rachel enjoys being outdoors, spending time with her husband, Michael, son, Owen, and daughter, Brighton. They are here with her today, as is Athletic Director Bauer. Please join me in recognizing Rachel Page for outstanding service to UNK athletics, student athletes, and to the University of Nebraska at Kearney overall. Go Lopers.
It's a good question, Mark. What do you do? Emily, there's your cute little kid in there. Good picture. Congratulations, Rachel, and thank you for your service to UNK. Regent Drake will present the Kudos Award to Dodie Eveleth. Did I say that right? All right. From the University of Nebraska at Lincoln.
The Board of Regents is pleased to present a Kudos Award to Dodie Eveleth, business manager in the Biology, Physics, and Astronomy and Chemistry Business Center in the College of Arts and Sciences at UNL. Dodie has been a valuable member of the university since 2006. As the business manager for 3 departments, she's a team player who treats her staff with professionalism and positivity. One of her nominators wrote, "Dodie is the glue that keeps the department programs running. She helps us develop game plans for the busiest times of the year and makes sure that everyone has everything they need for success. She is flexible and open, which has helped us push out some very important efficiency projects." Another writes, "Dodie wears many hats and has many duties, but she balances them all so well and dedicates herself fully to each area and treats everyone with care. She genuinely cares about each of her staff members." Dodie strives to create a welcoming environment and a close-knit community that supports each other and spends meaningful time together to strengthen relationships and to make the office a place you look forward to going each and every day. A real leader and a warm, genuine person who makes everyone feel comfortable and trusted, Dodie has created a work environment where every person and every interaction matters. Joining Dodie today are her husband, Craig Evlith, and her nominator, Alicia Kimbrough, Assistant Dean for Business and Finance in the College of Arts and Sciences. Please join me in thanking Dodie for her dedication to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
Congratulations, Dodie. Next, Regent Kent will present the Kudos Award to Paul Lako of the University of Nebraska Medical Center. Paul?
I am pleased to present the Kudos Award to Paul Lako, a speech-language pathologist at UNMC's Monroe-Meyer Institute. Paul exhibits a special talent for working with children with severe motor disorders. With more than 35 years of experience at MMI, he has helped countless children with apraxia of speech and pediatric dysphagia. Paul's nominator said Paul is a teacher at heart who has helped children learn to say their name or "I love you" to their parents for the first time. He has a regional reputation as the go-to person for kids who are not responding to traditional therapy approaches. To help patients achieve success, Paul uses a hybrid treatment approach with extensive sessions via phone and video. Even throughout the pandemic, he continued to hone his treatment skills via teletherapy. Paul is passionate about helping kids improve their communication skills, his nominator said. He is also committed to helping mentor and train the next generation of speech-language pathologists. He meets weekly with his apraxia team to review theory and practice, helps colleagues with tough cases, and prepares them to lead the service line in the future. In addition, Paul has developed a successful collaborative motor speech therapy program between Westside Community Schools and MMI. Paul is joined today by Jessica Gormley, Interim Director of Speech Language Pathology, and Leslie Cantano Van Winkle, Supervisor of Integrated Speech Language Services. Please join me in thanking Paul for his passion and commitment to helping kids improve their communication skills and for helping train others to carry on his vital work.
Congratulations, Paul. Madeline St. Clair, no relation to Regent Schaefer. She's not related to me, although there are a lot of saints in my, from the University of Nebraska at Omaha, is our final kudos recipient, and her award will be presented by Regent Sims.
All right, last but certainly not least, the Board of Regents is proud to present a Kudos Award to Madeline St. Clair, manager of the Maverick Food Pantry at UNO. Madeline is recognized by her peers for consistently giving her all and understanding the connection between meeting an individual's basic needs and their ability to be successful in personal and academic pursuits. She makes the pantry a place that feeds students and feeds their success and well-being. One nominator added, prior to winter break, Madeline went beyond all expectations when she arranged for food pantry guests to have food during the close down and partners with a community organization to provide fresh produce, bread, and desserts for the holiday season. All are foods the pantry hasn't typically been able to provide. Understanding the power of an engaged community, Madeline specializes in community partnerships that ensure UNO, UNMC, and College of St. Mary students have the resources that they need to excel. She partners with organizations like Whispering Roots, Omaha Farmers Market, Big Muddy Urban Farm, Food Bank of the Heartland, and more. Now the pantry distributes free diapers through a new partnership with the Nebraska Diaper Bank. Seeking feedback helps ensure provision of diverse and culturally appropriate products. There is something for everybody. Soon, SNAP application assistance and outreach will expand pantry programming. Madeline works to be sure that we all feel included and welcome. There can be a stigma associated with utilizing food pantries, so she intentionally creates a culture of caring with a variety of options based on comfort levels and needs. She works to combat the stigma through conversations, education, marketing, and social media to help the campus community understand the real and pressing needs on campus. She says just because someone is able to attend a four-year university doesn't mean that they don't face barriers like food insecurity. She coined the Maverick Food Pantry motto, when you need it, take it, when you have it, give it. Joining Madeline today is her mother, April St. Clair. Please join me in congratulating Madeline's commitment to creating an outstanding resource for the Maverick community. Thank you so much,
Congratulations, Madeline. Thank you. So while our kudos guests are most welcome to stay and observe the balance of our meeting, if you wish to leave, now would be a great time to scoot out, and we take no offense. And again, thank you for your service to the University of Nebraska. Okay, this is the last meeting for our student regents. In keeping with tradition, we will present resolutions in recognition of their contributions and service to the university and to the Board of Regents. After presenting the After the presenting regent reads the resolution, we will take a photo. Following the photo, you're invited to make brief remarks or sing your respective campus fight song. If you want to just change up the order. But I want to also just suggest that before they come up, these student regents are extraordinarily important to our board. We treat them differently than other campuses, other schools treat their board of their student regents. They're involved in every single meeting that we have. They're involved in the decision making. They're right at the table. And it's important, yes, for them to hear how decision making works, but it also is extraordinarily important for us to hear their perspective, from the students' perspective. And so, you know, I've said this before, but if I was you know, if the young student regents were a stock, we would probably want to buy them, because I'm very bullish on our future and bullish on where Nebraska will go with these great leaders. So we'll start. Anybody want to guess who's first? Our first resolution honors Emily Sadi from the University of Nebraska at Kearney, and the resolution will be presented by Regent Kenny. while they're coming up, Regent Sadi told me last night she was debating if she was going to do a roast or not.
Well, this is always a sad meeting for me. With Regents, we know and love them, and it comes to the time that it comes to an end, and we've got them trained now, and now we have to start over again. So, Emily, whereas Emily Sadi served with distinction as a member of the Board of Regents and president of the Associated Students of the University of Nebraska at Kearney, and whereas Regent Sadi interacted with the members of the Board of Regents and the university administration with professionalism and grace. Whereas Regent Sadi's thoughtful and energetic leadership have earned her trust and respect with UNK students, faculty, and staff. Regent Sadi provided substantial contributions and decisions by virtue of her bright, candid, confident personality and by her unique understanding of the interaction and relationship between students, administration, the UNK, and the city of Kearney. Whereas unwavering support of the UNK student community, Regent Sadi and her administration were instrumental in accomplishing important initiatives, including 2 student government committees, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee and the Sustainability Committee, acquiring funding for improved campus safety through additional lighting, promoting upgrades to the Nebraska Student Union, and revitalize the space and increase its accessibility. Whereas Regent Sadi has been an outstanding spokesperson for the university and has represented the UNK with dependability, dignity, and has made a notable impact of the UNK as a student, a leader, and a role model. Now it should be resolved that the Board of Regents express its most sincere appreciation for truly outstanding contributions to Regent Emily Sadi during her time in office and wish her well and promising career that awaits her. Emily?
Thank you so much, Regent Kenny, and all members of the Board of Regents for giving me this opportunity. For clarification, the tradition of us singing the fight song is fun for the Board of Regents, except for the student regents. I just thought we should switch it up, have a little roast session that would be fun for the student regents, maybe not so fun for the regents. But I will refrain for now.
That motion fails for lack of a second.
So I usually like to talk without notes. I think it's more natural, it's more me, but for the sake of all of you, I wrote down a couple notes, otherwise we would be here way past lunch. So I wanted to start off by saying thank you. Last night, Regent Kent spoke, and she said that the year could be summed up in one word for her, and that was thankful, and I think that really rung true for me as well. I want to first extend a thank you to all of the students at UNK for believing in me and allowing me to advocate for them over the past year. I want to also extend a huge thank you to all of the UNK administrators and staff that have really taken me under their wing and have allowed me to have many opportunities to grow as a leader and as a person. I want to thank the regents, starting with the student regents. I think we decided at the beginning of the year that maybe in the past there's been some drama between student regents, but we were not having that. We were going to be friends, close, confident. Regent Kent, at the beginning of the year, we all cornered her and said, "You've done this before, you're going to teach us." So we are so thankful for your leadership over this past year. And to all of the elected regents, thank you so much. Last year, the outgoing student body president sat me down and said, "You're going to love serving. They care about your opinion. They want to hear your voice." And I came into this year having some doubts about that. I found it a little hard to believe that a board of very accomplished individuals would want to listen to college students. But I have been proved wrong over this past year. Many of you regularly reach out to me personally, wanting to hear my opinion on an issue that's going to impact students, wanting to make sure that I feel confident going into the next meeting, and if I have any questions, they're always available to me, wanting to talk about life and what I want to do next. And I really appreciate that genuine interest in me, in my development as a leader, and my development as a person. Finally, thank you to President Carter and his wonderful wife Linda, who have really taken us in over this last year, who have taught us everything, have openly opened their house to us, and welcomed us in every time with smiling faces and wonderful conversation until about 9:30, and then we're kicked out. But with that, a thank you also to all of the amazing staff within the President's office. Phil and many more have helped us be prepared for every meeting over the last year. Mike especially, who is in charge of the audit committee and had the pleasure of working with me over this past year. That man deserves a raise just for having to deal with me. But before every audit meeting, he really wanted to make sure that I understood what was going on as much as I could, and that I was comfortable going into it. So that's very, very much appreciated. Overall, this experience has been outstanding. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry. I said this last night too, but we're gonna make it through. This experience has been outstanding. I have grown more as a person than I thought possible in 1 year. I have learned what it means to be a true leader, to lead in service, with empathy, with compassion, to listen first. And that is so important. Those skills are things that are going to carry me through the rest of my life, professionally, whatever I end up doing, and personally. More importantly, this experience has taught me what Nebraska has to offer. And I think that that is so important to each of the people that you all represent, and to the issue we talked about earlier about migration and growing concerns in the state of Nebraska. This university as a whole is under talked about. The things that it has to offer are huge, and it's not seen by everyone. It's not seen. I grew up in Kearney, and I had no idea what UNK had to offer, what I would get out of the last 4 years. I have no idea what Lincoln and Omaha had to offer before this past year. So I think overall, this experience has taught me that Nebraska is full of amazing people who do big things and who care. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I forgot about this part. I would have kept talking if I knew it was so soon. So this fight song has like 3 parts. It's the chorus, and there's the little bridge, and then there's another chorus. So the words are up here so all of you can sing along. If you already know it, please sing along the first time around. If you don't know it yet, you can listen and be ready to sing the second time around. But if any of the UNK staff or administrators want to join me up here, I would really appreciate it. Any takers? Any takers? Okay.
A lonely world.
Loud and proud. Loud and proud, okay. Well, here we go. Thank you, Charles, for pulling it up. Come on and fight for UNK. March on to victory all the way. Keep a fighting spirit, we'll always cheer it. That's what we're here for, that's what we'll cheer for. Fight for the blue and gold. Cheer for the blue and the gold. And together we stand proud of the best in the land. We fight for UNK. K-E-A-R-N-E-Y. Go Lopers. K-E-A-R-N-E, K-E-A-R-N-E, K-E-A-R-N-E-Y. Come on and fight for UNK. March on to victory all the way. Keep up your fighting spirit, we'll always cheer it. That's what we're here for, that's what we'll cheer for. Fight for the blue and gold. Cheer for the blue and the gold. And together we stand proud of the best in the land. We fight for you and K.
All righty. That was something. Okay, our next resolution honors Jacob Drake from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and the resolution will be presented by Regent Stark.
Thank you, thank you. Come on up, homecoming winner. Whereas Jacob Drake served with distinction as a member of the Board of Regents and as president of the Association of Students of the University of Nebraska, ASUN, for the 2022-2023 term. And whereas Regent Drake fostered student engagement and leadership, hosting roundtable discussions, town halls, and other strategic programming through the platform of the ASUN student government. And whereas Regent Drake worked closely with students, faculty, and staff to maintain, promote, and develop campus resources, supporting the student success and access to mental and physical health resources. And whereas Regent Drake strongly supported the recognition and support of military and veteran students, led ASUN's annual Patriot Day Memorial, and collaborated with the campus ROTC programs. Pretty cool. Whereas Regent Drake served in multiple leadership roles and prioritized student health as a chair of ASUN's Campus Life and Safety Committee, and on the Chancellor's University Safety Committee. And whereas Regent Drake represented the student body in multiple national leadership searches at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, such as the search committees for the Chancellor, Vice Chancellor for Business and Finance. Whereas Regent Drake represented UNL students at the local, state, and federal levels in support of affordable and accessible education, students' rights, and engagement of young people in the political process. And whereas through the thoughtful and effective leadership, Regent Drake has represented his 24,000 fellow Huskers to the best of his ability. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Regents express sincere appreciation for Regent Jacob Drake, dedicated service and effective leadership as a member of the board, and wishes him well in all future endeavors. Congratulations.
I do not speak as well off of notes as Regent Sadi, but I guess I just wanted to sum up my experience by kind of talking about how I got here and where I came from. You know, growing up, I always knew that I wanted to be a Husker. The University of Nebraska truly is a place where, regardless of your background, anyone can succeed. My mother did not have the opportunity to attend college, and my father chose to join an apprenticeship. As a first-generation college student from a tiny little town that very few people have heard of, coming to UNL was an opportunity to uplift myself educationally and expand my horizons socially. Never before did I imagine that I would sit at the same table as such incredible leaders, nor did I understand the gravity of what it meant to represent 24,000 voices. My service as the student body president and student regent for the University of Nebraska-Lincoln has been one of the most intimate, invigorating, exhausting, and impactful experiences of my educational career to date. Most strikingly for me, it has challenged me to work in and adapt to the environment of higher education. I'm a straight shooter, thoroughly honest and straightforward in my decision-making. I'm kind, and I seek deep and genuine relationships with those around me. And I am ambitious, seeking greater opportunities for myself and others. It is these qualities which have guided me during this past year, having clear communication and goals in every interaction. More than anything, I'm proud to have had the opportunity to serve in this role. I haven't taken my time in this position for granted for a second. Advocating at the highest level for college affordability, campus safety, mental health and well-being, and strong student-centered leadership for this institution has been beyond fulfilling. I'm so very grateful to the members of this board that I've been able to serve with, from the student regents to Chair Tim Clare, who, before I even took the role, made sure that I was prepared for every single meeting. I have felt supported every single moment. I'm very grateful for the UNL executive leadership team, who has also made sure that I was prepared and able to use my voice in every interaction. And I'm so very grateful for the faculty, staff, and the students who sent me here for constantly supporting me every single day. I have a deep love of service to my community, my state, and my nation. Post-graduation, I'm accepting a position in the civilian service at Offutt Air Force Base for the 20th Intelligence Squadron. Fostered by student government and leadership, my love and desire for service continues to push me to be the best citizen and servant leader that I can be. So I look forward, with great hope and pride, to the future of this institution and what we can accomplish through our education, our research, and our investment in the future of the state of Nebraska. Thank you. And now it's my great privilege to sing the fight song for the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. I will invite anyone who'd like to come, but I imagine that I will be again alone. So, at the very least, clap along with me. This one's more recognizable. There is no place like Nebraska, dear old Nebraska, where the girls are the fairest, the boys are the squarest of any old place that I knew. There is no place like Nebraska, where we're all true blue. We'll all stick together in all kinds of weather for dear old Nebraska, you. Go Big Red! Go Big Red! Go Big Red! Go Big Red! Wow. Thank you.
That was something too.
That was amazing.
Okay, the resolution, the next resolution for Nicole Kent from the University of Nebraska Medical Center will be presented by Regent Schaefer. Oh, you have props.
She's always prepared. But one thing that's always impressed me about Regent Kent is just her self-awareness, being prepared. She genuinely cares about everything and everybody. And these were things I felt 4 years ago and believed. And I was just very pleasantly surprised when we found out you were going to come back and join us here a year ago. And you continued to amaze me with the quality of individual, student, and professional that you are, and you will make a wonderful addition to some community somewhere, maybe in Gage County. We would love to have you there, but no, she's an extraordinary individual. She's someone who I would be very proud to have my 2 teenage daughters to spend time with, to promote Nicole as a role model for them, because she is just the all-American girl. So thank you for everything you've done while you've been here at the University of Nebraska Board of Regents, the second round. Hopefully the second round was just as good or better than the first round for you. But with that, whereas Nicole Kent has served as a member of the Board of Regents and as president of the University of Nebraska Medical Center Student Senate during the 2022 and 2020 through 2023 term, and whereas Nebraska Board of Regent Kent has represented herself, her institution, her fellow students with dignity and integrity during board meetings and events, and has served as a vocal and unwavering advocate for the students at UNMC and throughout the university system. Whereas Regent Kent held multiple campus leadership roles during her time at UNMC and testified before the legislature, all while balancing the demands of medical school. And whereas Regent Kent led the expansion of the UNMC Quick Checks program to increase awareness of mental health resources available on each UNMC campus. And whereas Regent Kent hosted town halls to help UNMC students connect with and be heard by the Student Senate representatives and campus leaders, including Chancellor Gold. And whereas Regent Kent led the growth of Green Space Series events to bring together UNMC community on the Omaha campus and on campuses throughout Nebraska. And whereas Regent Kent promoted UNMC student civic and community engagement through events such as the Thriftathon clothing drive and I Love NU Day events. And whereas Regent Kent supported events to discuss healthcare burnout and burnout prevention strategies, including the arts, and brought the National Academies of Medicine's Traveling Art Gallery on clinician well-being to campuses. And whereas Regent Kent led the effort for an official UNMC mascot through the student proposals and student voting. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Regents expresses its sincere appreciation for Regent Nicole Kent's dedicated service and effective leadership as a member of the board, and wishes her success in all her future endeavors. All right. Good luck.
All right, gotta grab my props real quick. So many of you who are sitting in front of me and some of our faithful followers in the audience know that this puts me in a little bit of an awkward spot because we have established a mascot, but we don't have a fight song. And so as I was thinking about what I wanted to do for that, I took a little bit of inspiration from President Carter, as well as from my aunt, Marcia Steele, who passed away. It was 11 years and a few days ago from breast cancer, but she retired from the Navy as a Chief Petty Officer. And so I think that many of you will recognize the tune that I adapted to UNMC. And also it is conveniently and blessedly short. So if you want to like clap along or something, I don't know, make me feel a little less awkward, I guess, but UNMC is great. UNMC. We research, educate, and innovate for all Nebraskans. Breakthroughs come every day at UNMC. Creating healthy futures for the people of our state. Hooray! Thank you. So I want to take a few minutes to just highlight the really awesome things that our students and our Student Senate at UNMC have accomplished this year. As we were thinking about some of the things that we wanted to accomplish on our campus this year, one of the biggest things that we realized that we face at UNMC and that our sister campuses face as well is how do we establish a new normal? Students like me who are in the third year of our programs experienced most of our first year of our programs online. Students who are in their second or first year of their programs had their final years of undergraduate or whatever they were doing prior to UNMC really stunted by the pandemic. And so what can we do to kind of help establish us and bring us back to whatever normal is now? So like where students on our campus used to stay and they used to study together in groups and really collaborate amongst each other, that's kind of fallen to the wayside. And so we as Student Senate had really two big goals this year, and that was promoting programming and engagement and promoting wellness on our campus. So for the programming and engagement piece, UNMC can be a difficult beast because you're kind of siloed into your program. As a medical student, I don't take classes, I don't sit in lecture halls with students in other programs, and so how can we promote this collaboration that our campus needs and that future healthcare workers need to be able to serve on successful healthcare teams? And so our Student Senate from the prior year really set us up for success, as well as you as a Board of Regents, in allowing us to have a modest increase in one of our student fees, which helped us in part bring on a student activities coordinator. Her name is Kiara Koshis-Gregorich, and she has been a fantastic addition to our campus and has helped us expand our scope of programming and events on our campus. So we're able to do events on the west end of our campus where our graduate students live in their research labs and involve them. We're able to do events on the east end of our campus where most of our students spend a lot of their time. And through our tracking of engagement, this was really our most successful year in recent history of getting students to come together for events and just celebrate UNMC. For wellness, our big focus was mental wellness, and some of you remember UNMC's Quick Checks program that was established last year through the leadership of then Regent Cradaville. Thanks to that same fee increase, we were able to add on 2 additional full-time mental wellness counselors in our Counseling and Psychological Services office and expand that program throughout this year to involve students outside of the College of Pharmacy and as well as students on our Kearney campuses and our Scottsbluff campus as well. And I am very pleased to put forward to you that the goal for the upcoming academic year is to have every single incoming student have a quick check so that they are able to meet with our counselors and have a friendly face for just 15 minutes to learn about the mental health resources that are available on our campus and to help destigmatize mental health care. Finally, a project that's been brewing on our campus for a little while has been the creation of a UNMC mascot to help bring our community together and give us something to rally behind. This was an entirely student-led process. We opened up to submissions from students and received nearly 50 unique submissions from students for what they thought the UNMC mascot should be. A mascot committee from our student senate worked together to narrow it down to 4 finalists based on an established set of standards, making it have to apply to all of our students, making it something that the community can connect with as well. Then our students had the opportunity to rank order vote what their favorite was from our 4 mascots. And the obvious winner was submitted by Caroline Seilstead, a student in graduate studies. She's actually here with me today, so I'll have her come up here. I don't have the final design from our Office of Strategic Communications, but I would love to show you the concept that Caroline submitted. So I will let her step up to the microphone, and I will have Charles cue up the image for us.
Thank you. This is such a great opportunity. My name is Caroline Sassett. As she said, I'm a 5th year graduate student in Tony Hollingsworth's lab studying pancreatic cancer. And I have a little blurb to give you an explanation of what you're looking at. So dogs have played a critical role in medical research, assisting in breakthroughs in everything from cardiology to cancer and medical care, improving outcomes for patients through simply providing comfort, or the important work of service animals. Labs like Ellie, this 16-year-old lab who has followed her human to every UNMC social event for years, inspired the mascot I present to you today. The labs we conduct research in, the labs we run for patients, and the labs who visit us to help us cope with the anxiety of finals week have worked tirelessly to help keep us safe, healthy, and happy. That selfless commitment to the betterment of mankind perfectly mirrors UNMC's own commitment.
Actually have fresh this morning from Dr. Gold t-shirt here commemorating our mascot search. And I would love to give one to you, Caroline, this morning. So I'll just finish up real quick by saying thank you to all of you. It has been such a blessing to do this not once but twice and to serve with all of you. It's always just so humbling to hear all of the accomplishments of my fellow student regents and knowing all of the things that you who sit before me have done for our state and for our university. I don't think our university has ever been in better hands in terms of leadership from the board to our president to our wonderful chancellors. So I'm I'm just humbled and blessed, and thank you all.
Wow. That was outstanding. Thank you. Our final resolution honors Tori Sims from your University of Nebraska at Omaha. And her resolution will be presented by Regent O'Connor.
So as a UNO graduate, I'm particularly proud of our UNO student regent every single year, and President Sims has been no exception. UNO has been entering a transformative time in its history, and I think that we've all really seen that over the past couple of days. And President Sims' input has been invaluable, and their voice has had a meaningful impact on students across the campus. And so we are extremely grateful for all of the time that they have put into their role as student body president. In our resolution, whereas Tori Sims served with distinction as a member of the Board of Regents and as president of the University of Nebraska at Omaha Student Government Association for the 2022-2023 term, and whereas Regent Sims held multiple campus leadership positions beyond President Regent while balancing the demands of a student and community leader, and whereas in all leadership roles, and especially as a member of the Board of Regents, Regent Sims has been an ally and a fierce advocate for students, and whereas Regent Sims, as president, worked diligently to create open lines of communication where they were needed and graciously challenged others to improve themselves and the entire student experience at UNO, and whereas Regent Sims demonstrated servant leadership, offered a listening ear, created a welcoming environment, and acted as a sounding board for student concerns, whether individual or widespread. And whereas Regent Sims led UNO's Student Government Association with poise, empathy, and integrity by selflessly and fearlessly advocating for student interests and encouraging others to do the same. And whereas Regent Sims has gained the admiration and respect of UNO students, staff, faculty, administration, and regents through a commitment to inclusion and a desire to better the world and a thirst for justice. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Regents commends Regent Tori Sims for outstanding service and dedication to the University of Nebraska and extends best wishes for a very promising future ahead.
How am I supposed to follow a dog, an original song, like a lot of updates? Like, okay, well, here we go. So I just want to take a moment to brag on our student government. I love these people. I was with them last night, and I just am so incredibly proud and so incredibly grateful to have served not only alongside of all of you, but alongside of a cohort of phenomenal students. Our campus just has an incredible wealth of people who really know how to rally and be in your corner and take care of people, and I couldn't have asked for a better experience, and thank you all for making it that way. So for a couple of campus updates, student government has voted to supply 200 free bike passes that have gone out already to UNO students so that they can have access to sustainable transportation, not just on campus, but all over the city via the B-Cycle bikes. We have supported our student agencies in providing programming, social support, and items such as menstrual and sexual health items, as well as resources for parenting students. Student government has passed a resolution in support of the Student Activities Budget Commission process results, and I want to publicly recognize those who made the process possible. Thank you so much. So much goes into that every single year, and we're all so glad that it's done. Big weight off of our backs. We are currently working to increase access to voting by requesting that election days become a campus holiday so that students will have additional time to go out and seek out their polling places and cast their ballots. Student government has also spoken in support of the university system's biennial budget request and was overjoyed to see the results. Huge win for our whole system. And so just as a complete campus university system, we just want to once again say thank you to all who made those possible. There is so much to be proud of for this year, and I could not be more proud of our hardworking and thoughtful group of student senators this year who have never ever stopped in their work to better support our student body in their academic and personal lives. Thank you so much to every single one of the regents. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for everyone who has always had a smile or a warm and encouraging word for me and has been gracious when I'm running just a few minutes late or a couple of minutes. You know how I be. But thank you so much. Truly, to everybody in this room, I'd love to go and give like a personal, individualized shout out to all of you. You all have very much earned it for keeping up with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I guess I have to sing a song now, huh? Yeah, not alone. Who's coming up? Who's coming up to the mic?
They're gonna come.
Oh my God!
We don't leave men by themselves.
And we have a few special guests.
Look at this.
Thank you to some of our favorite hockey players for joining us.
Yeah,
See
how are
you,
you?
thank you. You know,
Let's
happy
do
you're
this.
here.
Let's
do it
do
up.
this.
Y'all know the words?
Do we know the words? Come on. Give us a countdown. We're all singing.
Well, we've got quite the chorus up here. Do you guys want to start clapping us in? Well,
Fight, fight for Mavericks. We will fight, fight, fight for our team. Everyone knows when that old whistle blows. We will shout, we will yell, we will scream, go Mavs! We will fight, fight, fight for our Mavericks. We will cheer so all will know. Be it win, lose, or draw, everyone for Omaha. We will fight for UNO. UNO! 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 UNO!
You guys are awesome. Let's see you guys. Frozen 4 next year.
thanks for not making me do that alone.
Wow.
All right, bring in the hockey, guys. You win. You win.
Bring in the hockey guys.
Sold here.
Well, that was outstanding as well. I mean, holy cow. But I think you all recognize that the world is in good hands with people like our student regents. So thank you again for your great service and for all you've done for us and for the university. If there's no objection, I suggest that these resolutions be adopted by acclamation. Hearing no objections, they are so adopted. Today is the last meeting for our Faculty Senate presidents, and I want to thank UNK's Derek Beckner, UNL's Debbie Minter, UNMC's Trek Leninghan, and UNO's Peggy Jones. The Board of Regents bylaws call upon the faculty at each campus to establish a faculty senate that serves as the official voice of the faculty. Faculty senates address a wide variety of issues across their campuses and for the entire university. They advise and consult with students, staff, and administrations on matters such as the budget, institutional planning, and academic standards. They are called upon to protect academic freedom. They serve us well. Their diverse talents, interests, and accomplishments represent the kind of faculty that make a university great. Many thanks to you all, your dedication to your fellow faculty and the university. Please join me in thanking the Faculty Senate presidents. Oh, yeah, there's no fight song for you guys. We're going to take chair's privilege right now and take a 10-minute break. We'll reconvene at 10 minutes after 11. Thank you. Okay, 2 minutes.
Try not to spill my.
Okay, we'll get started. Our bylaws require that we hold a hearing whenever an amendment is proposed to our bylaws. I now declare the hearing open with respect to the amendment to Section 1.10 of the bylaws of the Board of Regents. The recommended amendment relates to the Code of Ethics. In accordance with our rules, this amendment was included as an information-only item on our February 10, 2023 agenda and is proposed for approval on today's agenda as item 11C1. Is there anyone present who wishes to be heard on this matter? There being no one wishing to address the board on this matter, I declare the hearing closed. The standing rules of the board provide that any person may appear and address the board on items that are not on the agenda. If an individual provides the corporate secretary with 24 hours notice. Each person wishing to speak will be given 3 minutes to make remarks. We are not contacted by any individuals wishing to speak on a topic that is not on today's agenda. The standing rules further provide that anyone desiring to speak on any item on the agenda for this meeting, regardless of the notice, may do so. I will first invite individuals who provided notice to come forward, followed by those who did not. As I invite you forward, please identify yourself and complete the sign-in sheet before you leave. You'll have 3 minutes to address the board. There being no other persons wishing to speak, I now declare the opportunity for public comment closed. I'm now going to turn the meeting over to President Carter, who will provide some remarks.
Thank you, Chairman Clare, and I know we've had a little bit of a long morning already, so I'm going to try to keep my remarks pretty short. Chancellor Lee, I know everybody's had a chance to congratulate you, say thank you to your team for being a co-host of this Board of Regent meeting and a chance to showcase your campus, but I just can't stop myself and say thank you again. Your team put on an extraordinary presentation, really fantastic. We had all 8 regents attended yesterday. During my time, and I hate using superlatives, but it was the best campus presentation that I've personally seen, so congratulations. I'm glad our board has not only had a chance to see UNO in that way, but also to understand all the other elements that are done here at UNO, from world-class counterterrorism research to innovative workforce development programs. And of course, my personal favorite was watching all the regents try to fly 737 yesterday. So again, just thank you, Joe. You did a fantastic job. I want to spend just a couple minutes bringing the board up to speed on the hard part of running the university, and that is our budget planning and the engagement with the legislature. As some of you may know, we've had significant new developments since we last met. As you know, this board approved and we submitted a request for a 3% funding increase for each year of the next 2 years of the biennium. We had been clear that even with that being fully funded, our request would not meet all of our needs. To give you an idea, we're talking about what would have been with a 3% increase, a $26 million planning shortfall. We want to be good partners to the state, the legislature, and the governor to make sure that we could balance all of our priorities. The governor's initial budget recommendation was a 2% increase plus funding for the Nebraska Career Scholarships plus the UNC-UNMC Rural Health Facility. And I want to just say right up front how much I appreciate the governor's proposal, which put us in a good position heading into our appropriations hearing. I, along with many of the student regents and the chair, testified before the committee last month. My message to them was similar to the message that we shared with each and every one of you at our last meeting. Like most institutions around the country, the University of Nebraska is facing some headwinds. This is caused by inflation, enrollment challenges, and declining birth rates here in the state and across the nation. But we intend to meet those challenges head on, and I was inspired by some of the presentations that I heard here today. But, in our very modest and responsible request would help us meet some of these challenges while maintaining the affordability and quality that Nebraskans expect from the university. So the bottom line is, you've already heard, we got some positive news this week that the Appropriations Committee voted to provide a 2.5%, a compromise funding increase. So I want to say publicly how grateful I am for the leadership and support of the committee members who are sending a strong message about the value that the University of Nebraska brings to our state. I've had wonderful conversations with each and every one of the members of Appropriations, and I want to tell you, whether they voted yes or no, they care about the university, even when sometimes we don't agree on every point. I want to say a special thank you to Governor Pillen, obviously former member of our board here. His support was invaluable in the committee's decision. I've talked at length with the governor. I know he recognizes the importance of stable state funding. His support and the committee's vote will make a big difference in terms of our tuition and budget discussions going forward. I know the governor expects us to be smart about every dollar, and I've pledged to him that we will bring a responsible budget to you at your June meeting. As I've told the governor, the university needs to be a major player in advancing his goal to grow our state and keep our economy strong. So I'm looking forward to continuing that relationship and working together. So the next steps, the Appropriations Committee will send its final budget package to the full legislature around the end of the month. Still a number of steps before that budget is finalized. Meanwhile, our planning continues in earnest. So even with the good news from the committee, I want everybody to know that we are going to be clear-eyed that we still have challenges ahead. Remember, even if that request were to be fully funded, we were going to have a significant budget gap to close. And candidly, our enrollment needs, trends, and inflation have added to some of those challenges. So as I've shared with the committee, there is absolutely no easy button for navigating these headwinds. Just looking backwards for a second, $75 million in cuts over the last 5 years. Many business functions have already been streamlined. IT, purchasing, facilities. We're going to look for more efficiencies, but I'll tell you, there's not a lot of low-hanging fruit left. Cash. There's a lot of discussion. I hear it at the legislature. I hear it, out and about. How many days of cash does the university have? How many days of cash do the campuses have? And I think there's a bit of misunderstanding that when you've done all the right things and maintained some days of cash on hand, that you can cash flow your way out of some of these headwinds. It's a temporary cushion. Remember, once we spend it, it's gone. It is not a fiscally responsible way to manage structural deficits. And these deficits that I'm talking about are structural, meaning they're permanent. They don't go away, even if you cash flow. It'd be a temporary fix. Today, our cash position is exactly where we want it to be. We are at the median of the Big Ten and other AA1 rated universities, a rating that allows us to save taxpayer dollars when we have to and need to borrow money. Let me talk a little bit about tuition. I'm going to continue to have a very candid conversation with our board about whether our 2-year tuition freeze is sustainable. I'm not going to bring any numbers today. I'm not going to put anything on the table. What I can tell you, because I've been really, really clear-eyed on this since the day I got here, we are not going to balance our budget on the backs of our students. Our student regents, who did an outstanding job testifying to the committee, all spoke to the importance of our affordability, and we want to make sure that we remain one of the best values in our peer group. So where does that leave us? I'm a big believer that we're going to have to view challenges as opportunities, and I think in this case we have an opportunity right now with this team to use this moment in our history to work together to create the university of the future. And a lot of that you heard today, and although it was specific to UNO, I know each chancellor could get up and talk about similar opportunities and some of the same things they're doing, and even other opportunities that are out there. And I want to put just one fine point on micro-credentialing. Dr. Jackie Lindberg talked about that. I want to give you an idea of what it is and maybe a little bit of an idea of what it isn't. First of all, it's big. If you look just over the last couple of years, we've gone through 2,000 unique micro-credentialed courses to today, over 20,000. Now, the vast majority of those are at UNMC, but our other campuses are quickly going to start catching up. Those are not accredited courses, at least not yet, but they serve for the common good. I can't tell you whether they're going to make money for our campuses. Right now, they're not exactly making a huge amount of money because they basically just pay for the faculty that do them, but they do present a common good, and there is great future in that. I bring that up because, as you've seen in a lot of poll numbers across the nation, Americans are losing confidence in the value of a four-year degree. And I want to tell you that's troubling for a lot of reasons. One being that I think the value of higher education, a four-year degree in particular, has in fact never been greater. And I'm not going to repeat all the great things that Dr. Lee said because I think she hit it right on the head. But I will say this, here in Nebraska, we need our public university system to be strong and competitive, delivering world-class education and transformative research. Our state's very future depends on the strength of its universities. We've been celebrating I Love NU Week all week, and I've lost count of how many Nebraskans, alumni, and friends have been writing in to share their stories of how the university changed their lives. Whether they've used their degree to go on to a successful career or their small business is successful thanks to the support from Extension, or they received life-saving care at the Med Center, or they have cherished memories of cheering for the Huskers, Mavericks, or Lopers, no entity in the state has an impact like the University of Nebraska. So yes, we're in Maverick land, so I'm bullish on preserving that impact and quality, even though we do have to have hard conversations ahead. Does this mean that we're going to continue to look the way we've always looked? You know, we've been very fortunate over the years. We are very well supported by the state. We have 4 distinct campuses, a central office and the office of the president, and we've been able to fund those almost always as independent set-up organizations. We're going to have to acknowledge that we can't be all things to all people. We need to decide what we want to be excellent in and invest our resources accordingly. What I am not a fan when we have to make cuts is across-the-board peanut butter cuts. That peanut butter approach may be the path of least resistance, but it is not the path to excellence. I expect us to make clear choices about what our priorities are. We're going to have to think carefully about our size and structure and what right looks like in terms of enrollment. I know the chancellors are working very hard to reverse the declines in the past years, and we do have hope and we do expect to grow. You heard a lot about that today, but we also need to be realistic, understanding what the enrollment cliff, the birth rates are here in the state, what they are in the nation, what our ability is to attract students from out of state and international places, and continue to attract the best and brightest that we have here in the state of Nebraska. My point here is we're not going to simply grow our way out of these fiscal challenges. So we're going to have to be innovative about how we attract and retain students and how we make them successful. We heard again some of that this morning. And we're going to be using technology to create access for our students. We need more of that in order to meet the significant workforce needs of our state. So the bottom line, I'm not bringing any answers here today. I'm kind of establishing and framing a little bit more of the problem. We're going to have lots of work ahead. The good news is I know we have the right team. We're going to have some changes in leadership. I'm optimistic we're going to bring in the right talent to tackle this together in a collaborative way, and we're going to get it done. We're going to continue to keep you updated as the legislative session and our budget planning moves along. So now I say thank you for your attention. I'm going to turn it back over to the chairman.
Thank you, President Carter. Appreciate your leadership and your diligence in navigating these headwinds. And we are bullish on our future. Go Mavs. It's now time to consider the consent agenda. The consent agenda, as indicated by its name, is moved and voted on as a group of action items as opposed to the administrative agenda where items are considered and discussed individually. With that said, unless any of my colleagues on the board wish to address any of these items on the administrative agenda, I would invite a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Phil, could you call the roll, please?
Regent Sadi?
Yes.
Regent Sims?
Yes.
Regent Drake?
Yes.
Regent Kent?
Yes.
Regent O'Connor?
Yes.
Regent Schaefer?
Yes.
Regent Shear?
Yes.
Regent Stark?
Yes.
Regent Weitz?
Yes.
Regent Wilmot?
Yes.
Regent Claire?
Yes.
Regent Kenny?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Very good, thank you. I'd now ask President Carter to guide us through the administrative agenda.
Okay, first up, academic affairs. There are no agenda items under academic affairs for this meeting. Business and finance. Item 11B1 seeks your approval of the collective bargaining agreement with the UNO Faculty Union for the upcoming 2023-2025 biennium. As you will note, the major economic provision of the agreement is the award of 3% salary increases in each year of the biennium, aligned with the board's biennial budget request approved on August 11th, 2022. UNO AAUP membership has ratified this agreement. This item was reviewed by the Business and Finance Committee, and I recommend it to you for your approval.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. I'll ask for discussion. Seeing none, call the roll.
Regent Sims?
Yes.
Regent Drake?
Yes.
Regent Kent?
Yes.
Regent Sadi?
Yes.
Regent Schaefer?
Yes.
Regent Shear?
Yes.
Regent Stark?
Yes.
Regent Weitz?
Yes.
Regent Wilmot?
Yes.
Regent Claire?
Yes.
Regent Kenny?
Yes.
Regent O'Connor?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Item 11B2 seeks your approval of a 5-year university-wide agreement with Elsevier to provide access to scholarly journals for our students and faculty. This $13.8 million agreement represents a $1.4 million in savings versus our current agreement. Our negotiation results are a positive example of what can be achieved when we work together university-wide. This item was reviewed by the Business and Finance Committee, and I recommend it to you for your approval.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
A motion from Regent Kenny and Regent White seconded. Okay, discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd say, back to our president's comments earlier, this is what we're gonna see in the future, is more collaborative movements as our university, and trying to just look for the things that we're not currently doing today. That this was a pretty a big amount of money that we're saving taxpayers in Nebraska.
Very good. Looking for more efficiencies. Yep, great. Any other comments?
I would throw in support for all the work that Dean Stewart did on this. When I was a sophomore, I had the privilege of serving on the Faculty Senate Library Committee, and we talked about the upcoming renegotiation of the contract, and so it feels a little bit apt to close my last meeting talking about the very fun Elsevier contract, even
Very
though
fun.
it will save us a lot of money.
Right. Thank you. Further comments? Call the roll.
Regent Drake?
Yes.
Regent Kent?
Yes.
Regent Sadi?
Yes.
Regent Sims?
Yes.
Regent Shear?
Yes.
Regent Stark?
Yes.
Regent Weitz?
Yes.
Regent Wilmot?
Yes.
Regent Claire?
Yes.
Regent Kenny?
Yes.
Regent O'Connor?
Yes.
Regent Schaefer?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Item 11B3 seeks your approval of an architectural and engineering design services contract to assist with program development, planning, cost evaluation, design, and construction administration for the Memorial Stadium Improvement Project. Following a competitive request for qualifications RFQ process, HDR is recommended for selection. The project is broken into 2 phases. Phase 1 is a $1.1 million flat fee and Phase 2 is 8% of the project cost. As you'll recall, in September 2022, the board approved a waiver of Regents Policy 6.3.6 relating to project sequencing for this project. By engaging an A&E firm now, we can determine a feasible scope and evaluate the magnitude of potential philanthropic support for the project. Ultimately, a program statement will come back to the board for consideration once the project has been scoped. The item was reviewed by the Business and Finance Committee, and I recommend it to you for your approval.
Great. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Approved and or moved and seconded. Discussion. Regent Shear.
Obviously, I wasn't here in September, so I'm not privileged to the conversation that went on, but for clarification purposes, the contract that we're discussing right now is for what I'll call the preliminary work, not necessarily the approval for the construction of the project.
Correct.
Which would be pending upon collection and donations from donors to fund the project. And I ran into some confusion, some people that I was talking to, and I just want to clarify that we are just simply talking about a preliminary design and scope process, not the actual construction documents and the approval of the construction.
That is correct, and I'd be happy to ask Mr. Chris Kaborik to maybe just make a comment on this, because it's effectively approval to do planning.
Yeah, that's exactly right, President Carter and Regent Shear. In September, we asked the board to waive our typical construction policies around the sequencing of the project. Typically, we'd bring a program statement, which would have the scope of the project, the budget, the financing, all to it. Given this is kind of a once-in-a-generation opportunity we have before us to really rethink the next 100 years of Memorial Stadium, we proposed, and thank you for your agreement to waive those policies, to take them just a little bit out of sequence. So we are planning the plan right now, but ultimately, Regent Shear, you are correct. If you approve the selection of HDR, they will be the design team that we will use to start planning the plan of what the possibility is, in conjunction with the fundraising feasibility work that's going on. But ultimately, a program statement, a budget, and a financing will come back to the board for your consideration at some point.
Thank you.
I think it's also important to note that not a shovel's placed in the ground until monies are raised and all finances are determined. Other comments? All right, call the roll.
Regent Kent?
Yes.
Regent Sadi?
Yes.
Regent Sims?
Yes.
Regent Drake?
Yes.
Regent Stark?
Yes.
Regent Weitz?
Yes.
Regent Wilmot?
Yes.
Regent Clare?
Yes.
Regent Kenny?
Yes.
Regent O'Connor?
Yes.
Regent Schaefer?
Yes.
Regent Shear?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 11B4 seeks your approval to acquire multiple parcels located at the intersection of the 41st Street and Leavenworth Street in Omaha. This property is currently owned by Community Alliance. To accommodate their construction and relocation to new space, a leaseback of the acquired property will be required for a certain period, estimated to be 15 months after closing. The purpose of this acquisition is to support future development and expansion of the UNMC campus. The $5.2 million cost will be funded from the UNMC campus reserves. This item was reviewed by the Business and Finance Committee, and I recommend it to you for your approval.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make it.
I didn't know if the sneeze was the motion or.
It came afterwards.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Anyone? All right, call the roll.
Jeff?
Oh,
Jeff could enlighten anybody if.
I think President Carter described it quite well. This is a series of properties in direct continuity to the Med Center campus and will present a significant opportunity for us in about 15 months to relocate some critical services. Some of that planning is actively underway.
great. All right, call the roll.
Regent Sadi,
Yes.
Regent Sims,
Yes.
Regent Drake,
Yes.
Regent Kent,
Yes.
Regent Weitz,
Yes.
Regent Wilmot,
Yes.
Regent Claire,
Yes.
Regent Kenny,
Yes.
Regent O'Connor,
Yes.
Regent Schaefer,
Yes.
Regent Shear,
Yes.
Regent Stark.
Yes.
The motion passes.
The last item is under the executive section. Item 11C1 seeks your approval to amend Section 1.10 of the bylaws of the Board of Regents. The current language in Section 1.10 duplicates policy language elsewhere in the bylaws and Regents' policies relating to conflicts of interest and commitment. After review, the Audit Committee recommended the Board adopt a clear code of ethics to communicate expectations regarding board and employee conduct. This item was reviewed by the Executive Committee, and I recommend it to you for your approval.
Regent O'Connor, thank you for your service as past chair and for helping bring this matter to us. Do you have any comments you'd like to make on this?
And I will also defer to Regent Weitz, who's the current current Audit, Risk, and Compliance Committee Chair. This has been thoroughly reviewed by the President's Office and by our Audit Committee. It's been discussed, and we're all very comfortable with the concepts in it, and we fully support and recommend it to the full Board of Regents.
I think there's been excellent work put into this, and I totally approve as the chair of the current audit committee, and I think it's very important that we be very clear about what our code of ethics are, and I think this advances that very much.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve item 11C1?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Regent Sims,
Yes.
Regent Drake,
Yes.
Regent Kent,
Yes.
Regent Sadi,
Yes.
Regent Wilmot,
Yes.
Regent Claire,
Yes.
Regent Kenny,
Yes.
Regent O'Connor,
Yes.
Regent Schaefer,
Yes.
Regent Shear,
Yes.
Regent Stark,
Yes.
Regent Weitz.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you.
And finally, there are also numerous reports for your review.
Well, I accept those reports listed on the agenda on behalf of the board. Again, Chancellor Lee, thank you for your great hospitality yesterday. Faculty, staff, and students at UNO, thank you for a really enlightening day. It was fantastic. For the record, I did land the plane, but I don't think I'll have any repeat passengers. It was a little bumpy. I also would encourage you, we had dinner last night at the Samuel Bach Museum and Learning Center, and if you haven't been there, it's truly spectacular. And I would encourage all of you to go. We are adjourned.
Feels like it was going to go on too.